Today, despite a modernization program and openness to the West, the legacy of Mao Zedong lives on. This is the very symbol of communist control in China. Tiananmen Square is the biggest plaza in the world. It was here Mao first raised the flag of the new communist state on October 1st, 1949. 40 years later, it was still the symbol of communist control when it became the center of world attention during the crushing of the student protests in 1989. Today, China is still the land of control. Even as we recorded this program, official eyes were watching our every move through these long lens cameras. In China today, the state is God. Its angels are materialism and economics, and atheism is king. From the shadows, this is still the listening, watching state. Religion, they still say, is for the weak, and tens of millions of Christians continue to operate underground. For them, the threat of persecution is still very real. There is, of course, an alternative. In China, official legal registered churches exist, but they are controlled by the communist government. For more than 50 million Christians who form China's unregistered house churches, this is unacceptable.
The government wants us to registration. We refuse to do it. If we register, then we can preach openly. We are protected by the government. So our meeting is lawful.
We meet secretly, mostly in homes, but sometimes even in a yard. The number of people who gather together varies from 5 to 2,000.
Rarely can eyes and ears from the free world come so close to the real heart of the church in China.
Communism has created a spiritual hunger in China. People are so open to receive Jesus. It is not uncommon to see preachers fainting from exhaustion while preaching. For them, 24 hours a day is not enough.
From large cities to small villages, Christians of all ages are actively and effectively sharing their faith. But membership of the unregistered house church in China has its price. Sister Wang is the leader of a house church in northern China. When she became a Christian, her husband divorced her, and then the police raided her house.
They confiscated all our Bibles and spiritual books. They had the evidence, but now they wanted information. When I refused, they became more and more violent and kicked me indiscriminately.
At that time, the words of John 11:25 were very precious to her.
I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies.
Sister Weng's experience is shared by hundreds of Christians throughout the country. Brother Xu has been on the wanted list for the past 4 years. Just recently, the police broke into his home at midnight, handcuffed him, took him into custody.
They wanted me to disclose information regarding meeting points, names of providers of Bibles and books.
So you again, how many times have we warned you? You still come to our province with your stupid literature. Who supplied? Who are your contacts?
Oh Lord, help me. Help me to forgive him. He's only doing his job.
Tell me, who?
The books were given to me. I don't know his name.
But we know you. You are Ma Yuanping. You are disturbing the peace. You lie to the people. Now tell me, who are your contacts?
Lord, give me the strength to keep silence. Save me from my greatest fear, that I will break and tell.
Well, you decided to keep silence? Perhaps we shall re-educate you, huh?
Lord, I want to thank you for choosing me to suffer for you.
I see that you have chosen the hard way. Let me see if we can change your mind.
Every day they interrogated him, beat him with a leather belt, and even pulled out his hair.
And I was transferred to prison. This gave me the chance to share the gospel with other prisoners, but I was so emotionally and physically drained that I could only lead 3 people to the Lord over the first 2 weeks.
Prison experience is a combination of physical and psychological torture. Former prisoners demonstrated how for hours they're forced to stand in totally unnatural positions. For days they're prevented from going to the toilet. The pain is excruciating. This man told me, God called me to be a pastor. I was too afraid. And then I realized there are thieves in prison who risk their lives for money. Will I not risk mine for God?
The only reason we can survive such ordeals is because of God's grace and the fact that Christians worldwide are faithful and loving enough to pray for us.
Another said, my own sister came to visit me in prison. She cried because she was ashamed of me. But there were others who came to visit with the right kind of tears because they knew I was suffering on their behalf. Even in the course of filming this program, we have received reports of the arrests of 7 house church leaders. In spite of, and because of, persecution, the underground church in China continues to expand, particularly in rural areas where whole villages have been known to come to Christ.
Everyone seems to got hope.
One young Chinese girl with a foreign passport was able to speak on behalf of other young Chinese Christians.
And I can see the spirit there, the truth there, people following the truth. People want to see the hope.
In scenes scarcely witnessed by those from the free world, thousands are being baptized and added to the church. We know of examples where between 1,000 and 5,000 people have been baptized in just one day. The expansion and the commitment of these house churches in China is so very impressive, but it also creates many needs. Imagine the challenge of discipleship training in a church where most people don't even have a Bible. And think of the situation of up to 1 million house church pastors with very limited theological understanding. Not the blind leading the blind, but certainly the hungry leading the hungry. It's precisely these needs to which Open Doors responds.
We don't have nearly enough Bibles. Before we received supplies from Open Doors, we only had 2 Bibles for 40 people.
When I became a Christian, I wanted a Bible, but there were none available. I have to live with the memory of burning my parents' Bible.